News media bias. We hear this term a lot. We hear it so much so that we hear it just about every day. The news is biased. Your show that you're watching, it's biased. Fox is biased. CNN is biased. Everyone's opinion is biased. But what is news media bias? News media bias is taking one side and disregarding all other viewpoints. We see this time and time again on programs such as Fox, CNN, MSNBC, countless news outlets that are supposed to be relevant sources for news. Now, not all of them are bad. Reuters is actually pretty accurate with the news. It never really seems slanted. There's a few others I could list, but not all news is bad. But it seems to be that in the day of age that we are in, the main big ones, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, are the ones that everyone get their news from. And because of that, they're very slanted. It's very one-sided. On one channel, Trump is the greatest man ever made, and on the other one, they hate his guts and they hope he just falls off the planet. And it's not right. Regardless of your political point of view, it shouldn't be like that. That is blatant slanted opinion. Why is this bad? It's false information. At times, both sides are guilty of giving false information, and they disregard opinions. Small voices need to be heard, and they try and say that they do. Shows like The Five or on MSNBC, they have usually one opposing viewpoint on the show, but they have four other voices that are louder than that one voice. If they truly care about having a conversation about politics, then why is only one voice barely getting heard? That's not solving the problem, that's creating more issues. It's important to be truthful. Journalism teaches you to be first, not factual. And that's not right. A little over a year ago, when Kobe Bryant and his daughter and a few others that I can list passed away in a horrific helicopter crash, the news outlets took about 2 hours to get the facts right. Now, they did post news, but it wasn't accurate. First, it was an airplane. Then there was no Kobe. Then there was just Gigi. No one knew what truly happened until 2 or 3 hours later when they actually got the facts right. And that's what they teach you today, and that shouldn't be the case. It's about being factual, not being first. Avoiding news bias. Facts matter, and canceling you because you don't like their opinion is not the way to go. Everyone's opinion matters. That's the truth. Everyone's opinion matters, and they should matter. Everyone has a right to share what they believe. Now, in today's world that we live in, it feels like the louder voices are the ones that matter most, and that shouldn't be the case. Because at times, you're censoring people or you're blocking out quieter voices to make your voice louder. You cannot use your freedom of speech to suppress others' freedom of speech. It doesn't work like that. Everyone's opinion matters and it needs to be brought up. How do we stop media bias? Knowing the facts, being open to conversation, not disrespecting one another. Why is it that every election now that people unfriend so many of their previously good friends because of their political standpoint? I can't imagine that, to be quite honest. I'm libertarian. That's no secret. I tell people that. I may lean libertarian slightly right, but I try to stay equal in the middle. Because I'm a firm believer that you cannot have an actual opinion until you see both sides of the problem. Yelling louder is not winning the argument. It's creating more problems. So how do we solve it? How do we solve this difficult issue? And it's really simple. Empathy. Walk in my shoes. Share personal goals. Communicate with one another. Don't just yell at each other to make your opinion louder than theirs. It's important that we work together. Everyone used to have a sort of idea of what people were going through, and now it seems like we've lost that. Empathy is so important because we judge people based on appearance, and that's not right. We judge people before we even get to know them, and that's not the way things should be. You don't know that person, so why are you judging them instantly? Just because you don't share the same political viewpoints doesn't mean you can't be good friends. I have more liberal and Democrat friends than I do conservative. And there's nothing wrong with that, because when I see them, that's not the first thing that jumps out at me is, what's their political standpoint? What's their political view? I don't care. I care about them as a person. And it feels like the world has forgotten the main three things that you're supposed to not talk about on a date. And that's religion, politics, and how much money you make. And this needs to be brought up. We need to stop being so biased with our news outlets. We need to be able to share each other's opinions in a comfortable, collective environment and not feel so aggressive when someone doesn't share the same viewpoint as you. And by doing this, we can improve each other, improve our personal locus, and actually have an actual conversation that we can both be proud of.